Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Black Light Show. This is your host, Ashiki Ajamu, and today we're going to talk about, economics. And what we're going to discuss today is money. How is money made? And also wealth. That's what we talk about here. It's money, wealth, and how we can get that, and as well as the power and how we're going to work together with our synergy, come together, and we're going to create our own wealth and create our own source of money. So then the rational, we can have that going for ourselves over time, and that's generational too. So what we're looking at is this: how is money made? Money is made by work. And from work, what that happens is that you're getting paid for your time, and what they as your let's say your company you work for or your boss either writes you a check, and from that check it goes into the system, the federal system, which is like the like an ATF system, which is the automatic transfer funds type of system. And from that point, the government knows every single person that received money, because all money comes in from work that is paid out through a check. So the government knows everybody that gets the checks has to deposit it in their bank account, or they go to some little cash check place, or they ask somebody else to put it in their bank account. But that's how that money is actually made and put out there into the actual system and into the banking systems. And you know about the Federal Reserves, there's about 3 or 4 different Federal Reserves across the nation, from San Francisco all the way to Chicago, southern states, and as well as New York. So there's about 4 of them that pretty much distributes the money to all of the banking systems across the nation. And from there, that's how the actual funds are sitting in the bank, as well as people have those funds sitting in their store. And then it goes back to the check, because either a major corporation wrote a check to a small business, or a small business wrote a check to someone else, or then you look at payroll, and then from the payroll, that gets distributed in a check form. So therefore, the government knows everyone that has gotten paid any cents until you break it down in cash. So say, for instance, if I gave my check to someone else and said endorse it, you still see it's still in your name. So therefore, the check still goes back to you, because the check's in your name, just somebody else endorsed it and put it into their bank account. So it still has your name on it. So what we're looking at is the actual systems that are there. As we explained, the money system is created through checks. So that's where it comes, the checks and the balances, because they know where almost all money is out there from the checks that's been distributed through the bank systems that come right back to Washington, and then they put it into their system, and then from there they destroy the checks. And that's how it pretty much rolls. So the United States government knows every single dime or penny to dollars that they've created and put out there to the public. So if you want to go out there and say, hey, I want to hoard some money, or I robbed a bank 20 years ago, the currency didn't change, so therefore they know where it actually is. And if you look at your bills, they know from the serial number where, let's say, the depository that came from. So from there, they're able to know the location, the area where that funds was put in, and all that. So they could track down old funds down to the location, down to the area. So that's how adept the system is. So they also know when those currencies are spent overseas, because they're looking at the money transfer and how things were transferred out. So that's really what's going on, how that system actually works. Excuse me for a minute, just got to shut the door real quick, but I'm back at it. So what we're looking at is we're looking at the whole scope of how money is actually made in our system. And then from the world, it works similar to the same concept as they have depositories that deposits the money to the actual banks through the actual, what is that? The courier systems, which are armored cars. So they use the armored cars to bring the actual cash there, as everybody knows. Now, moving on to when we look at wealth and how that's made. That's made in a way of really work and a lot of work. And then from there, that work accumulates to so many millions of dollars over time. But in today's world, we live at a time where you could become literally, or your company can become registered as $1 billion evaluation overnight, whether you're dealing in tech or whether you're dealing in, let's say, some type of hospital mechanism that helps saves lives. That's how it could easily be evaluated as $1 billion company coming out the gate, or a tech company that just figured out a way to have people exercise better, or something like a TikTok, have people be silly a little bit more. So when you just look at that, the scope of things, of how things are all put together, and it comes down to actually investors, because a lot of people have money to invest in companies. At the higher level, you have to deal with certified people because it's SEC rules and things like that. So a lot of people get scammed by people that's not certified in these fields. So then they get scammed. So the scope of it is wealth is actually built over accumulation of time, but in today, wealth could be really made overnight. And then from that overnight success could come overnight failure too, because in our time, we've seen companies come and go just as fast as they rose up. So the main thing is about, well, how are we going to obtain this money and what we're going to do? Now, how we as a people get our money and our things rolling is by simply coming together. No different than any corporation that comes together with a whole bunch of shareholders that are investing into a company for an outcome of a payout, and to make that brand stand. So that's what we're going to do with ourselves. We're going to brand ourselves and make that stand. So we're going to put it all together and make it jam. So it's going to work just like this. As we said, we need 460,000 people to participate in just putting up $100. That will equate to $46 million. The reason why we're looking at $46 million or $50 million is because we're connecting that to the actual population of Black people right here in America, whether you are indigenous, African American, that ancestors were brought here through slavery or any other form or fashion before it was the entire United States that it exists today, from the point that it was colonies by the different groups, whether it be the French, the Spanish, or the British, or even the Germans. And they had all types of different denominations of belief systems. But we're past that. What we're looking at is the financial level. So from there, we're saying, when we were here in coming into the colonies that those countries had made, so from that point is when we're looking at the capital and how they gained the capital on us. So what we're going to do is reverse that and gain our own capital. And what I mean by that is by utilizing ourselves as one, recognizing ourselves as one people. And it's not about anything else but what we've come here together to do. And that is to raise this capital for 46 to 50 million people. And with that, how is that going to be done? As I said, $100 from 460,000 people or 500,000 people. Put that up. We've just raised $46 million to $50 million. From that point, those funds will be distributed to every woman, man, and child. So every Black person will get that finance. And from that, we will extract $100 from that, and that will equate to $4.6 billion. Now, if we're looking at, or it will equate to $5 billion. And if we're looking at the breakdown of that, that means that people will be getting quite a bit of money. So from there, what we will do is we will extract another 100 and then distribute it, and then another, and then distribute it. So from that point, we have to look at where finances are going there. We know that that's a lot of money that we can accumulate in a very short amount of time if we just do this. So from that point, what we have to look at is now you're looking at cryptocurrencies that's coming into the picture. And the reason why cryptocurrencies and regular currency is going to be very important, because we as a people, we have to be in position to take those opportunities when they exist, to say like, okay, well, things are about to shift into this crypto. Let me put money into this crypto. Foreign exchange, let's put money into different areas that can make more money. The US dollar, how the US dollar is essentially the world's money, because actually countries use the US dollars because they don't have their own dollars as a form of currency. So what we have to do is look at that and look how crypto is changing things, because when you look at the crypto world, it really doesn't break down things how we have the natural currency right now in terms of the US dollar versus the peso, or the US dollar versus the Canadian dollar. So what we have to look at is, okay, when it comes to crypto, that really isn't broken down in terms of a value system. It's just flat out, this is what it is. So we have to say, if that's the case, how can we be a part of that system where we have the opportunity to make those crypto investments, as well as the other things that's coming down the pipeline, such as investing into America, as well as investing into countries that supply America with raw materials, or investing into countries that supply other countries with raw materials, because we need to put ourselves at the top of the food chain. As we look at other groups and we talk about other groups, we're like, hey, they're on top, and what are we going to do? Right now, I was just the other day looking at a series called, well, they dealt with the diversity that is coming into the urban communities. But as a Black person, this diversity, or this actual, I don't know, a sitcom, this actual diversity that was put into the sitcom wasn't really depicting us in that whole picture. It was really picturing another group in the urban community. And when you start looking at it, you're saying, like, when you look at television, you look at economics, we're starting to be pushed out more and more as a people. So other groups are starting to come in. When you look at just basketball, it used to be a Black dominated sport. Now you're starting to see white people come back into it at different levels. So the finances are starting to change. And when you look at some sports like football, we really are making strides and gains in that area. And that's a lot of wealth that's in that. But when you look at how football contracts are laid out, opposed to how basketball players' contracts are laid out, there's a big difference. Meaning, football players' money is not guaranteed. Basketball players' money is guaranteed at times. So what we have to look at is how those economics roll out and how that builds wealth for a certain segment, a certain group of people that do work hard for what they do. We might say that, yeah, they're playing a game, but to compete on that level at that many games, that is worth something, that is valuable, plus the dedication that's put in to just being an athlete, to dedicate yourself above a lot of things that you could be doing in life just to play a sport. So that does deserve some recognition, no different than a person that is in the entertainment industry and they dedicated their entire career on singing. But back to the subject at hand, which is finances and how we can get to that point. Because once you have finances, really you can do what you want to do. And technology nowadays can make it that you could be an avatar and you could be singing and you could be whatever. Even your kids could be stars just overnight. But really, with this finance and this money, how we're going to be able to utilize those funds as what it's supposed to be, and that's just leverage. That's the only thing that money is a tool, it's leverage for you to do what you want to do or go where you want to go and spend freely because that's why it's called currency, because it has to move and it has to move. And then, as well as move, your goal is to hopefully make money off of those moves of the current. But us as Black people, we've been put in such different positions that when it comes to your education, when it comes to your athleticism, when it comes to your ability to sing as an artist. So what we have to really look at and examine is there's a lot of people that's left out of that realm and that circle that really needs the assistance, because we as a people, when you look at the laws of Jim Crow, from slavery to modern day society, you have to say like, wow, this whole thing has been set up and constructed to put us on the bottom. And from that, you have to understand that there's a lot going on just to keep you down. And whether it's your own people or whether it's another group of people, those mechanisms are in place to keep you in place, meaning in place that you have no other options. They're limiting your options. As we live in America today, they're getting more stricter. You have laws, more laws, so they're limiting your options. So when it comes down to that, we have to put ourselves in a position that we're making money, we're out there getting it, and we ourselves are funding ourselves. Just put yourself in the frame of mind by us reaching 460,000 people to donate $100. And that is not a donation to me, that is a donation to yourself, because that investment is going to go tenfold within to yourself. So once we reach that goal of 460,000 people say, yeah, man, we're going to do that. We put in $100 right there. We start paying everybody out as they put their information in the database. In that database, we'll let people know like, hey, look, here's the criteria. You have to be Black or a nationalized citizen that states that you're Black, African descent, American, and you're here so that you can make this happen. But there will be a cutoff and a deadline, because we don't want people just flooding the system to say like, hey, well, I just made it into America. I'm an American citizen. I say that I'm Black. No, there will be a cutoff so that we can eliminate individuals that are coming in and getting their citizenship past that time or in that threshold. So what we have to do is focus on to get more concrete on how this is going to work and who's going to benefit out of it. It is mainly us who's going to benefit out of it, but because we're labeled as the big spenders of the world, everybody else is going to benefit off of our success. So that's what we have to look at it. Take it our success and recognizing that everyone will benefit off of us. Now we have to also look at how laws may change, and you never know how people throw these different codes or city councils may come in effect to say like, hey, well, let's actually raise the price because this group has more money. So we as a people need to be more proactive when it comes to politics, especially when we have money, because that is what's going to put us in position. That's really what wins elections. A lot of times it's the funds and the corporations that back these people. So what we have to look at is, well, how can we be a part of that? And matter of fact, it really wouldn't matter when you have money, because if they tripping right here, you can just fly on out and go somewhere where they ain't tripping. And that's where it's all cool and dandy. So that's where we looking at. Our next phase is to set up the account. So once we set up the account, then we're going to start letting everybody know where we're at, how much funds we've raised already from there. And then we're going to start raising this capital. Hopefully, within the stretch of now to tax season, we could spread the word to one another, really get this jamming, put this out there that we're looking to bail ourselves out and not looking for a government handout or some other group say, hey guys, I'll throw you into a program. How about another housing projects for you guys? You guys lived there for years. Wasn't it cool? No, it wasn't cool, because what you all did was put us in a place where you know where we all were. So now what we want to do is utilize our position, and that position is that we are all spread out. So by us being spread out in different communities and different areas, once we have this money, then we will be taken off of the renters system as well. And then you'll be able to be actual home owners and land owners and have some power in here. Because when the police come and see that you're a renter, they're going to say, well, you're not the homeowner. You have no power over here. The only power you have is voting power. And most people that are renting in the urban community isn't really voting. So they're looking at the taxpayers too, because the true taxpayers aren't the renters. They're really the homeowners. So they're looking to extract all that out of the homeowners through taxes and things like that. But that gives the homeowners and property owners power to say, hey, well, we want this in our community, and we want more policing in our community. We want this type of stores in our community. So that's the power that ownership gives you. So that's what we have to do, is become owners in our area, just like our great grandparents at this time to our grandparents. They had ownership of property, they had ownership in their homes. We as a people are just now getting that, but we did it through the raise of credit, and that credit system just keeps you enslaved. So what we're not trying to do, what we're going to do is raise this capital. So then that's going to take our people completely out of slavery, because you have the capital to buy your freedom. And that is extremely important. The only people that are really free are the people that have money. People that have money are able to move and groove as they please to any tune. And that's what it's about. It's about making our own frequency, making our own tune, because Black people, we created our own culture here in America that nobody else has had. So we are very inventive here. And this is something that we have come together to invent. We're gonna put 100 bucks up so then we could bail ourselves out. And then we brought ourselves to freedom. And then from that, 46 million, extract $100, that comes to 4.6 billion. And then we're gonna pay that out. And then we're gonna take another 100 bucks out of that. That's another 4.6 billion. Pay that out. And then constantly 4.6 billion payout, 4.6 billion payout. But our first mission is just to reach $46 million. From that point, the payout for way out. That's what it is. My name is Sheik. This is the Black Light Show. Thank you for your time. Y'all have a great, blessed day, and see y'all when the sun rises. All right, peace.